Welcome, I'm Diane, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite topics, and that is daily habits. I truly believe that the key to success lies in your daily habits, because there is no point having a big vision for your personal brand, your business, your career, or even your personal life if you're not actually reverse engineering that into your daily habits. Today I'm going to share what I believe are the top 10 life-changing habits for success. If this sounds like something that you might be interested in, then grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. If you have seen any of my previous content, then this first recommendation for a life-changing habit for success should come as no surprise, and that is reading. I personally make reading a really big part of my daily life. I read a book or two every single week for the entire year. I personally believe that learning from the experiences of other people is one of the best ways to move your life forward. There's people that are already paving the way for those still to come. But there is also a lot of science to support the mental and physical benefits of reading. Research from the University of Sussex, for example, has shown that reading can reduce stress by 68%. It outperforms the also highly effective cup of tea and going for a walk. And one of the best parts is it takes just 6 minutes to be able to see results. Research has also compared readers with TV watchers, and readers have been shown to have better analytical skills, better judgment, and better problem solving skills. And also because of the unique words used in books or in magazines, readers also have an improved vocabulary compared to TV watchers. While it might seem counterintuitive, as reading is often something that you do on your own, it is actually something that can also help to build your social skills. And that is because when we read, we create neural pathways that are connected to the characters that we are reading about. That means that when we aren't reading, we have an increased level of empathy, of emotional intelligence, and people skills. My second recommended life-changing habit for success is walking. This is personally for me one of my non-negotiables every single day. If I can, I go for 1 to 2 walks daily. I think we understand the physical benefits of walking pretty well, but it can often be the mental benefits that can be overlooked. Research has shown that walking can improve your creativity compared to sitting by 60%. This came out of the University of Stanford, and it showed that this can be seen in walks that are just 5 to 16 minutes long and walks that are either indoors or outdoors. So whether you are walking around your office building or outside, you can definitely see some mental benefits for walking daily. If I go back to the University of Sussex research that I mentioned when talking about reading, walking can also help to reduce stress by 42%. And that is because it helps to release endorphins, it helps to promote dopamine. It also helps to build your empathy. Research has also shown that walking helps you enter a brainwave frequency that is the same frequency that we experience when we meditate. My third recommended life-changing habit for success is feeding your second brain. And by that, I mean your gut. How are you looking after your gut health? I started to focus on this a lot more after reading the book Limitless by Jim Kwik. He is a world-renowned personal trainer for the brain, and he got me thinking about this idea of gut health and its connection to the brain a lot more. Research has shown that your digestive system is lined with hundreds of millions of neurons that are connected to your brain function. So it gives new meaning to the term gut feeling. So if you are relying on your brain to do the thinking and performing for you, then how are you ensuring that, like a car, it is given the right fuel to be able to function in its peak capacity? And this leads me to my fourth recommended life-changing habit for success, and that is building your second brain. Now, the seeds of this idea was popularized in a book by David Allen called Getting Things Done. He proposed that the key to stress-free productivity is emptying your brain. It's getting things out of your head and into a system that actually makes it effective for you. And then this idea was expanded on further by Tiago Forte in his book, Building Your Second Brain. And he proposed that that system should essentially be an external hard drive for your second brain. So there are lots of ways that you can do this, but for me personally, this is how I use the Notes app in my iPhone. Tiago Forte proposes that when you first come across an idea or a piece of information that really resonates with you, that's not necessarily when you most need it. But by building a second brain, you move that idea, that thought, that piece of information into a system that you can then access later when it actually is going to be more beneficial to you. So make it a daily habit to continue to build your second brain so that you can benefit your future self. My next recommended life-changing habit for success is playing an instrument. I started to play the piano when I was about 4 years old, and I continued this very consistently up until about late high school. And then I took a little bit of a hiatus for a few years. And if I had known the benefits of playing an instrument back then, I probably would have kept going no matter what. Research has shown that playing an instrument helps to increase the grey matter in various areas of your brain. It also helps to build the connection between the left and right hemispheres of your brain as well. Music also integrates the senses of hearing, vision, and touch with fine movements, and this can also have a really lasting impact. My next recommended life-changing habit for success is practicing yoga. Harvard University research compared the brains of those that practice yoga with those that don't. They used MRI scans and brain imaging techniques to do this research, and they found that the areas that are responsible for information processing and learning and memory were actually thicker in those that practiced yoga versus those that didn't practice yoga. My seventh recommended life-changing habit for success is to practice gratitude. Shawn Achor, in his book, The Happiness Advantage, really popularized this idea of keeping a gratitude journal. That is writing down just a few things at the end of every single day that you are grateful for. He proposed that happiness does not come from success, but success comes from happiness, and it is what contributes to some of our most important outcomes in work, such as productivity. This also aligns with what scientists would call the Tetris effect, and that is because when we do something for enough time, we start to scan our environment to look for those things. So by practicing gratitude daily, you begin to scan your environment for the positive as opposed to the negative. My next recommended life-changing habit for success is something that I haven't done since high school, but I am more recently taking up now, and that is learning a second language. Now, this is arguably one of the most mentally challenging tasks that anyone is going to undertake, but its benefits can be worth it because research from Washington State University has outlined a number of mental benefits for learning a second language, and among that includes better attention control and better working memory. My next recommended life-changing habit for success is practicing a craft. This is something that I personally started to think about even more after reading a book by Cal Newport called Digital Minimalism. And in it, Newport really encourages you to think about how you are spending your downtime. Newport proposes that in our modern culture, we have become much more accustomed to wanting that feeling of doing nothing in our downtime, of scrolling, of watching TV, as opposed to what our ancestors would have been more used to doing, and that is having high value hobbies, such as practicing a craft. So, when it comes to your downtime that you have in your personal life, how can you actually practice a craft? It might be things like cooking, sewing, or maybe even woodwork. But if you want to move that even further into our modern society, maybe it is picking up a new technology, learning photography, or learning a platform that you weren't ever familiar with before. Maybe it is something that is going to add to your professional life as well, but it is a craft that you are learning on the side. And my last recommended daily habit for success is to practice daily learning. One of my absolute favorite quotes comes from Gandhi, and he said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn as if you were to live forever." Have you ever been in an interview and been asked that question about how you maintain your continuous learning in your professional field? Whenever I would get that question, I would refer to any training and development that I had done and any of my latest degrees or courses that I had participated in. I now see that completely differently. I see daily learning as being even more important. That is the way that I learn daily via YouTube, podcasts, articles, or blogs and books, how am I constantly learning new knowledge that is going to benefit me personally and professionally. I want to finish off this episode by reminding you of the power of neuroplasticity. A lot of the ideas that I have talked about today may seem like, if you don't do it already, like it's too big a challenge to start maybe at this stage of your life. But that's where the power of neuroplasticity comes in. It reminds us of our brain's capability. A study in London looked at the brains of taxi drivers that are required to learn 25,000 different streets in a particular section of London. And it showed that the grey matter in the brains of those cab drivers was actually larger than those of a similar age and educational level and emotional intelligence. And it also showed that the longer the cab driver had been driving the cab for, the bigger this actually was. Our brains are capable of so much more than what we might actually initially think. And I love that Jim Kwik reminds us of this in his book Limitless, when he says, "Our brains have the capacity for neuroplasticity, which means that it can be changed and shaped by our actions and by our environments. Your brain is always changing and molding itself to your surroundings and to the demands you place on it." If you are reevaluating your daily habits, then make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be deep diving into this topic over the next few weeks. I want to look at the habits that can set you up for success versus the ones that are potentially keeping you stuck. So make sure that you stick around for some of that content as well.